Hopefully I don't screw it up again. Take 4. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another brilliant lecture from your Native American literature professor here at Sisseton Wahpeton College. And now your host, Professor Victor Indigeno. Yay! All right. Now, this is like the 4th time I've done this, and I'm really screwing this up. So I'm going to try to go faster, and I'm out of breath from all the dancing I was doing in my previous take of this video. And before I get too deep into it, I'm going to move around to the side to actually see if this is actually recording the way it's supposed to. Now, if you know anything about me and our lecture, we were discussing in a previous video art for art's sake and artistic urgency. And we also spoke last week about something that I call Indigeno Futurism. If you know anything about me, got a couple PhDs, and I like to make up words, because that's what you do when you get PhDs. You get to make up words. Isn't that cool? Now, let me step over here and see how we're doing on record. And we're actually recording this time. I'm not screwing it up. Yay. All right. Now, back to Indigeno Futurism. Last week, only one person came to class. All this hard work I did for you. Indigeno Futurism, which we defined as a literary and artistic movement that explores Native American perspectives, or native perspectives, because we want to talk about First Nations too, because North America, part Canadian. Native perspectives on the future, blending traditional cultural elements with futuristic themes and speculative fiction. Let me read it again. It's a literary and artistic movement, Native Futurism or Indigeno Futurism, that explores Native perspectives on the future, blending traditional cultural elements with futuristic themes and speculative fiction, often characterized by the following 5 elements. Number 1, dystopian future. Dystopian meaning the world has been damaged so bad and we Indians are left to clean up the mess. Number 2, rejection or continued rejection of stereotypes about our people. Number 3, ongoing cultural resilience and revitalization. Number 4, incorporation of traditional knowledge, as always. And number 5, hopeful exploration of technology and environment. Right on! So, those are some key elements that you will find in indigenous futurist writing and art, and even our music. Now, I'm going to share with you a little chart that I made because, as you know, I have no life being a professor, and a lot of times all we do is sit around and think about our students, which I pretty much have been doing, and I made this little chart for you guys. I've got in one column mainstream futurism. I don't want to use the word washichu or chamokmanuk in my own language, so we'll just say mainstream. Afro futurism, which we talked about a little bit before, we're going to talk about it a lot today. And Indigeno futurism, a term I invented. I already talked about that. Now, we're going to use these key descriptions really fast, and we're going to use 3 examples. The 3 examples are spacecrafts, robots, and aliens. Because, with sci-fi, indigenous futurism, mainstream futurism, Afro-futurism, sci-fi, pretty much. What about it? Well, mainstream is highly developed, extremely polished, well-established, and well-financed, of course. Money. Afro-futurism, not so slick and polished, but more organic. It's more creative. It's more self-generative, self-financing, and self-developing. Indigeno futurism is relatively new, uncharted, undeveloped territory with plenty of room for new blood. I'm using that language on purpose. We'll get to that in a second. Now, I'm going to use 3 F's to describe them as far as their roots go. Mainstream, futurism, I argue, is primarily, I mean, there's exceptions, but primarily rooted in fear, sometimes guilt. Afrofuturism, primarily rooted in fun. We'll talk about that. And Indigeno futurism, rooted in freedom, or the quest for freedom, as evidenced in the book by Dimmeline, The Marrow Thieves. We talked about that one before, too. Now, rather than me stand up here and read you a boring chart, I'm going to show you some pictures that I snarfed off the internet. Let's scroll down, shall we? How are we doing on time, and how's the video looking? Let me go over here and look. It's actually recording this time. I did a really cool rap scene, and I thought I was doing so well, and the stupid thing didn't even record. Never mind, let's keep going. We're going to scroll down some more. There we go. Let's start with spaceships. Remember, we're doing spaceships, robots, and aliens, okay? Spaceships. Mainstream futurism, they're either blowing something up or they're getting blown up, pretty much. I mean, in general. So we have our Star Trek Enterprise, and they're battleships. Opposition, battle, struggle, colonization. Afrofuturist spaceships, I'm going to read from my chart, and I have a print copy here. They're shiny, colorful, with lots of lights, of music, and cool sound effects that go with them. I wish I had some music to play for you guys, but I don't right now because I don't have enough time. I'll just put some musical videos up for you guys later. How about Indigeno futurism? Well, our spaceships, we're still working on them. So I snarfed this cool concept art off the web where there's this cool Plains Indian guy, and he's doing the signal thing for the Eagle spacecraft landing. Isn't that cool? I like that. It says here, spaceships. We're still working on it, mostly experimental. An author named Dylan, who wrote a book called Walking the Clouds, I believe features some spacecraft. Actually, that is an anthology. And then we're going to do our robots. Y'all know who these guys are. The Terminators. So, let me read what I got here. Mainstream futurism depicts robots as either revolting against humans or servile, highly sexualized fembots. Don't blame that on me. I didn't do it. That's mainstream futurism, okay? All right. Looked like I was touching her butt. Never mind. Keep going. How about African American robots? Freakazoids, robots, please report to the dance floor. Never mind. I'm going to show, this is from 2021, Freakazoid robots. African American robots are usually dancing with us, and I got to read a little bit from what I have here. Also, we talked about this in our previous discussion. In African American futurism culture, robots are usually integrated with black bodies. Possibly this comes from the history of slavery, because the slave masters, whoosh, get to work, and the guy'd take the boxes and rather than 200 years or 150 years later whine and cry about it, the artists of the 70s, 80s, and 90s decided they're going to take this and run with it, man, and they celebrated the power of black bodies. And that's why you have a lot of robots featured in Afrofuturist literature and language and culture. You're going to see a lot of this cool stuff. Who invented the dance called the robot? African Americans. How about Daft Punk? That was rooted originally in African American culture. Now, we're going to scroll down to Native American. Isn't he cool? He looks like a little Hopi robot. It says here, Native American robots, Indigeno futurism, Native First Nations. The robots, we're still working on them. However, in our literature, some young folks who are still working on stuff like this is very similar to the Japanese. in that our robots are working alongside us and usually cleaning up a mess again, but they're working with us. Very similar to the Japanese. If you know anything about Japanese and their love of robots, young native writers are doing something very similar. Let's talk a little bit also about the cyborg experience. There's some native woman cyborg. She's looking pretty cool there with her mechanical ear and her old-fashioned bow and arrow. And then we've got, this isn't really a cyborg. This is more like, isn't she cute? She's a native, what do you want to call her? A warrior, soldier, space woman. She can have the place where the helmet goes and stuff. Isn't that awesome? This is artistic. I don't know if it's AI or concept computer art, whatever, but it's awesome. I liked it so much I put it up here for you guys. Next one, we got the male counterpart. She's the heroine. Here's the hero. And he's looking pretty daft there himself. He's got his cool, shiny, futuristic armor, and he's got that whole Iron Man thing going on there. Isn't that cool? So there we go. Now, let's talk about mainstream aliens. Woo! Now, I'll go ahead and read. Mainstream literature, movies, culture, futurism. The aliens are either invading, enslaving, hunting us, wiping us out, or eating us. Yummy. As in the Predator. And this is our heroine, I think it's Sigourney Weaver. Anyway, and we got the alien, the brain-eating monster. And then we've got the Independence Day alien colonist. Ooh, didn't that sound familiar? With no Will Smith to save us. So there's that whole opposition battle thing going on. I'm going to check the time again to see how I'm doing and make sure this thing is actually recording. And yes, it is. Good. Now, when we get to African America. Oh, well, almost forgot this one. This is taken to the weirdest extreme. Mars attacks. Maybe you guys weren't even born when this crazy movie came out. It took it to a weird and comical and horrific extreme where these weird Martians come and attack Earth, and it's just hilarious and also horrifying at the same time. If you ever get a chance, you got to rent the movie, except we don't have Blockbuster anymore. Never mind. You can find it online, maybe. Now, I'm going to move on over to African American aliens, because this is where the cool stuff starts. Let me read. It says here, Afrofuturism. The aliens are coming to Earth to either party with us, they want to dance with us and make music, or they're coming here to pick us up and take us back on the mothership, back to some mythical utopian planet or home planet, which is really cool to think about for a second. Instead of going back to Africa, we're going to go back to, as they say, they would go back to some cool, mythic, high-tech past. I'm thinking also of the music. Stacy Lattisaw, Attack of the Name Game. So this is an alien, cute little alien creature that came down in this spaceship and is playing with the children and teaching them something called the name game. So my name being Victor. I got a vac attack, I got a vac attack, I got a V-Bible, vac attack. To turn the tick, you gotta move the mic, you gotta wham, bam, bump it by Victor. Victor. So that's one of them. And then we got the, I want to say Cosmo D. I'm Cosmo D from outer space, and I'm here to rock the human race. I'm doing it right, because I can't do it wrong. That's why everybody is singing this song. Jam on it, jam on it. Yeah, jam on it. If you feel you want to dance all night, well then go on ahead and blow it. Bang on it. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. I messed it up a little bit, but that's kind of the aliens are coming here to play with us and party with us and have fun with us. Now, Indigeno futurism. Ooh, I'm out of breath. I'm getting old. See, check it out, white hair and everything. I might as well start parking in the elder parking space. Never mind. Indigeno futurism. Well, we're still working on it. There's a couple of young authors writing about them. Conley, The Outside Passage is the name of the book. And the aliens are usually arriving on Earth to teach us new ways to save our planet. That might be a feature. By the way, this is an ancient rock art. They're probably spirit beings, but some people say they're painted rock aliens. If you ever watched that weird dude with a weird hairstyle, what is it called? Aliens Among Us or something. I forgot. It's some goofy TV show about aliens. They like to say the aliens did everything. Anyway, that's enough for right now. Again, I wish you a beautiful Easter weekend, and thank you so much for bearing with me and my silliness. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.